So we made a video back in the summer about how to use planer boards, and I just now received a comment from a guy who just watched that video, and he asked about this rod rack. He said that rod rack looks pretty good. If you guys made it yourself, do you care to do a quick overview of it? And we actually thought about doing this before and just never did get around to it, but this is pretty cheap, basic rod rack that we built, and I'll go over what I think are the pros and the cons of it. There's only really two downfalls of it. But anyway, to jump into it, all this strip here is a piece of unistrut, which is just light construction steel. It's used mainly for electrical work, HVAC, to help hang HVAC, some light construction. We got this from Lowe's, and I'm pretty sure that they call it Super Strut on their website. That's just their brand name of it. But it came in a 10-foot length, and I'm pretty sure we paid right around 25 bucks for it. And that is the main piece of this rod rack. Now, the first thing we done is I ordered a new set of tie-down cleats for the boat here. This set here is factory to the boat. You see there's one here, there's one straight across. I didn't want to use these. Actually, I couldn't use these because if we ran the rod rack here, the motor wouldn't have enough room to trim all the way up. So every time you had the trailer of the boat, haul it, you'd have to take this off in order to trim your motor up. So I definitely didn't want to do that. So I bought this new set of cleats. I bought these off Amazon. They were right at 16 bucks, I believe, for the price of them. They actually come with 2 bolts and nuts to go on the bottom. I threw those away. Used some long self-starter screws. Got some sealant in between. And then I got this back as far as I can in the boat, but still allow me room to trim the motor up. So there's that piece. So we cut this off. You can see here it's probably what, 2.5 inches past the cleat. It's the same on the other side. So the first thing we done, obviously, is we installed the cleats. We cut this to length the way we wanted it. And you gotta be careful when you cut it. You may not be able to cut it just from one end. You may have to cut it from each end just to get your holes to line up to use your U-bolt. That brings me to the U-bolt here. We got these little U-bolts. I think they're $3 a piece. I've got this one kind of loosened up just for demonstration. It comes with this plate. It comes with 2 wing nuts. I'm not going to tighten it all up just yet because I want to show you some other stuff, but about $3 a piece for those. And then we got 2 pieces of 6-inch long heat shrink that I want to say was 1.5 inches. It probably has to be at least 1.5 inches round. And that part's definitely not exactly necessary, but we figured we put that on there and heat shrink it on, and it kind of eliminates that metal to metal contact there and save a little bit of wear and tear. So we got our piece of unistrut. We got our 2 pieces of heat shrink on. We got our cleats mounted. All you do is run these little U-bolts up through the cleat, drill holes in your heat shrink once you get it on there. Got it pushed down. Now before I put that on there, we took, as you can tell here, we got 8 monster rod holders on this rod rack. And it works out perfect because the shaft, the threaded part of these rod racks fit perfectly in these slots. So you got all these different slots that you could adjust how far apart you want your rod holders or whatnot. So what we done, rod holders come with 1 nut, I think, and I don't know if it might even come with nuts, I can't remember. But anyway, what we got here is we got a nut and a flat washer on top, and then on the bottom, I don't know if you can see that or not, but got another nut, a flat washer, and a lock washer, and basically just torque those 2 nuts down on each other to keep them good and tight. You can still move them if you want to, if you put some effort into it, but they're not going to move on their own. So that's how we got those mounted on. So of course everything's the same on the other side as it is this side. Now while I'm putting these wing nuts on there, I want to go over kind of the downfalls of this. So the positives are, it was cheap. I'm pretty sure that, including the cleats, that we were in this rod rack for less than 60 bucks, just under 60 bucks, which is good because the rod holders themselves are 25 each. So got way more money on the rod holders than we do in the rod rack itself. But the downfalls, in my opinion, are, for one, in order to keep it away from the motor when it gets trimmed up, is it's up in the boat, and it takes up it takes up a little extra room. If you notice, some of the guys have a rod rack that's a little more rigid, and it actually comes up from the corner, goes over top of the motor and back down on the other side. So that gives you all your boat room back. Plus your rods are up about waist high, so you don't have to bend over every time you get a bite. And it gives your motor room to raise up. The second downfall of this setup is that this boat is over 7 feet wide. So we initially had an issue with, of course, the longer expanse, the longer something is, the weaker it gets. So we had issues with this wanting to twist and torque in the middle too much, like when you get a good bite. So all we did to remedy that is we took a piece of the unistrut that we cut off for the original 10-foot piece, drilled and bolted it to the top up here, and then, see if I can get over and look at it. Then we took a little small section of it and screwed it down flat to the floor of the boat. And that gives this a stop to hit. So now you can see it takes a lot of torque to move that now. So a little bit of modification we had to make, but like I said, it was less than 60 bucks. It served us well. Now, to be honest with you, would I like to have a set of multi-bars on either corner of the boat? Yes, I would. I probably will someday, but you're looking at upwards of 350 bucks, I think. I'd have to check and see. 350 to 400 bucks for a set, I think, of multi-bars to put on the back. But the good thing about those, if we ever do get them, then we get the space in the back of our boat back. But anyway, that's a quick overview of how we set this rod rack up. Cheap and easy. It's worked fine. I would definitely do it again if I needed to. If you have any more questions about it, just leave a comment. If there's anything else on the boat that we've done that you would like us to talk about, feel free to ask. We got some more projects coming up to do to the boat. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next one.